What if I told you that one of the biggest favorites in the World Cup could be just 90 minutes away from another nightmare? Not against Brazil, not against Argentina, not against France, but against Croatia. A country with a population smaller than many major cities around the world. Because if football history has taught us anything, it's this. Whenever people start believing England are finally ready to dominate a major tournament, Croatia somehow finds a way to appear in the story. And here's the scary part for England fans. This Croatian team might be even more dangerous than most people realize. While millions of fans are focusing on England's stars, England's depth, and England's expectations, they're ignoring one statistic that could completely change how this match unfolds. A statistic so important that it could determine whether England take a huge step toward World Cup glory or suffer one of the biggest shocks of the tournament. And by the end of this video, I'm going to make a bold prediction that many fans won't agree with. Let's get into it.
England versus Croatia. At first glance, it looks straightforward. England arrive at this World Cup carrying enormous expectations. The Three Lions have one of the most talented squads in international football. They have world-class players competing in the Premier League, Champions League, and Europe's biggest competitions every single week. For many fans, this tournament feels like England's best opportunity yet to finally end decades of disappointment. But standing in their way is a team that has built an entire footballing identity around proving people wrong. Croatia don't care about market values. They don't care about hype. They don't care about predictions. For years, they've consistently punched above their weight on football's biggest stage. World Cup finalists, World Cup semi-finalists, tournament giant killers. And despite constantly being underestimated, they somehow keep finding ways to compete with nations that have 10 times their resources. That's what makes this matchup so fascinating. One team is expected to win. The other has made a habit of destroying expectations. But before we get into the biggest reasons Croatia could shock England again, there's one hidden factor that almost nobody is talking about, and it completely changes the conversation.
Reason number 5. Croatia thrive as underdogs. Let's start with something psychological. Pressure. International football is different from club football. At clubs, players have months to recover from mistakes. At the World Cup, one bad performance can define an entire tournament. And that's where Croatia become incredibly dangerous. They love being underestimated. Think back through recent tournaments. How many times have football fans written Croatia off before a major match? And how many times have they responded by producing performances nobody expected? For England, the pressure is enormous. The media pressure, the fan pressure, the historical pressure. Every World Cup match becomes a national event. Every mistake becomes a headline. Every missed chance gets replayed endlessly. Croatia don't carry that same burden. They enter this match with freedom, and sometimes freedom is one of the most powerful advantages in tournament football. But pressure alone won't decide this game, because the next reason is something much more tactical, and it could become England's biggest problem. Reason number 4, the midfield battle. Most fans will focus on the goal scorers. The headlines will focus on star forwards, but this match could actually be decided in midfield. Croatia have built their international success on technical control. For years, they've produced midfielders capable of dictating tempo, slowing games down, and frustrating opponents. They're masters of turning chaotic matches into controlled battles. England, meanwhile, often look their best when they can attack quickly and exploit transitions. But Croatia excel at disrupting rhythm. They're patient, disciplined, intelligent, and perhaps most importantly, experienced. If Croatia can control possession for long periods, they can force England into a different kind of match than the one England want to play. Suddenly, frustration starts building. The crowd gets nervous. The pressure increases. And that's exactly when mistakes begin to happen. But even that isn't the biggest concern for England, because the next factor is something tournament football repeatedly proves, and history is on Croatia's side. Reason number 3. Tournament experience changes everything. Talent wins matches. Experience wins tournaments. And Croatia understand tournament football better than almost anyone. Year after year, they find ways to navigate difficult situations. They know how to survive pressure. They know how to manage momentum swings. They know how to stay calm when games become tense. That experience cannot be measured by statistics alone. It's visible in decision-making. It's visible in positioning. It's visible in how they react when the match becomes emotional. England have improved significantly in recent years. There's no question about that. But tournament football is full of moments where experience matters more than raw talent. One defensive decision, one tactical adjustment, one moment of composure. Those moments can determine everything. And what happened in previous England-Croatia encounters proves exactly why Croatia should never be underestimated. But the next reason might be the most overlooked factor of all, and almost nobody is talking about it. Reason number 2. Croatia's ability to frustrate favorites. Great underdogs don't always outplay favorites. Sometimes they outthink them. Croatia have become experts at making elite teams uncomfortable. They don't need to dominate possession. They don't need to create endless chances. They simply need to keep the game alive. The longer a favorite fails to score, the more dangerous the underdog becomes. That's basic tournament psychology. Imagine this scenario. England dominate the opening stages. They create opportunities. They hit the post. They force saves. But the score remains 0-0. Suddenly, every minute increases the pressure. Every missed chance becomes heavier. Every Croatian tackle lifts belief. And every England attack becomes more desperate. This is exactly where Croatia are incredibly dangerous, because they understand patience, they understand momentum, and they understand how quickly a match can shift. One set piece, one counterattack, one defensive error. That's all it takes. But even that isn't the biggest reason Croatia could shock England. The number one reason is something deeper. Something that separates ordinary tournament teams from extraordinary ones. Reason number 1. Croatia's World Cup DNA. Some teams have talent. Some teams have tactics. Some teams have stars. Croatia have something else. They have World Cup DNA. Now, before England fans rush to disagree, hear me out. Football history is filled with talented teams that failed to meet expectations. Croatia are different. When the World Cup arrives, they consistently perform above expectations, again and again, tournament after tournament. They've built a culture where players genuinely believe they belong against anyone. Brazil, Argentina, England, France, it doesn't matter. There's no fear. That belief creates resilience, and resilience becomes incredibly valuable when matches becomes difficult. Because eventually every World Cup game becomes difficult. Every favorite faces adversity. Every contender faces pressure. And Croatia have repeatedly shown they can survive those moments. Most fans focus on individual talent. The smartest teams focus on mentality. Croatia possess both. And that's why writing them off would be a huge mistake. But now we arrive at the question everybody is asking. Who actually wins? Before I reveal my prediction, there's one final statistic that changes everything. England have more talent on paper. Few people would argue otherwise. But World Cups aren't played on paper. They're played under pressure. They're played in moments. and Croatia have built an entire reputation around thriving in exactly those moments.
So here's my prediction. England will not have an easy night, not even close. In fact, I think this match will be significantly tighter than most fans expect. Croatia will frustrate England. They will slow the tempo. They will force England into uncomfortable situations, and they will create genuine moments of panic. However, I believe England's overall squad depth, attacking quality, and physical intensity ultimately give them a slight edge. My prediction is England 2, Croatia 1. But here's the bold part. I don't think England dominate. I think this becomes one of the toughest tests they face in the entire group stage. And if England underestimate Croatia even slightly, this could become one of the biggest upsets of the tournament. That's how dangerous Croatia remain. Because football history has shown us one thing over and over again. The moment everyone counts Croatia out is usually the moment they become most dangerous.
Now it's your turn. Do you think England proved they're genuine World Cup contenders, or do you think Croatia shocked the football world once again? Will England win comfortably? Will Croatia pull off another upset? Or are we heading for one of the most dramatic matches of the tournament? Drop your score predictions in the comments right now. And if you disagree with my prediction, tell me exactly why. I want to know which team you're backing, who scores first, and whether this match could become one of the biggest stories of the World Cup. Because one thing is certain, when England and Croatia meet on football's biggest stage, something memorable usually happens.